Hello, it's 5 to 5, it's Friday, and it's Alas Cripps Clarke. So today we're going to be talking about mixed messages.
What? Mixed messages? I thought we were doing personal branding.
Actually, it's more about communication, I think.
Well, for Christ's sake, why do you think this has cost me a fortune, this has? We're not doing personal branding. Jeez.
Now, just be honest. How much did that actually cost you?
Well, this.
Yes.
I just fooled Angela. What does that look like?
It looks really good.
Does it look like I've cut something out of a piece of paper, or actually I've got a craft knife? That is actually stuck on with a Pritt stick. Anyway, I've got to put that back in my wife's knicker drawer. No, stop it. So mixed messages.
Happy birthday, Georgie.
Yes, it's my wife's birthday. She's 59 today, or as I like to call it, 60 minus 1. She doesn't. But yes, you see, any communication that is contradictory or inconsistent or unclear, especially in motive or intent, is effectively a mixed message. Now, Angela and I, believe it or not, sometimes we're a bit like an old married couple, but we are not always on the same page. We approach things quite differently. We think very differently. But we'd like to think that the messages we give out on our webinars, and of course, even with Alas Cripps Clarke, that we're very clear in our intent and what we want to put out. So what we're doing today?
So we're looking at communication and how things can go wrong sometimes. Hope you've got a drink. Those of you that are out there. I've managed to finally, after about 4 months, actually get some orange juice for my tequila, and I found the grenadine as well. So I've actually got a tequila sunrise. The grenadine is 2 years out of date, but hey, it's sugar, isn't it? It's fine.
Actually, we want to make some messages very clear in terms of promoting the gym. And looking at the screen, no one has actually added anything in on the chat bar yet. But what we found works really well is, look, we don't expect you to type too much. But if anyone who's watching this right now, if you can just type in, "You two are brilliant," what we'll do is we'll just screenshot that and we'll give it to Georgie to use in some marketing.
I would say that, because we've had some lovely things this week where people have been saying nice things and they've been screenshotting us and using it, and then we've then used it again, a bit Inception-y, though we've used their picture of us using their picture, and they've said some really nice things. But if you say that, people now won't believe that and think that we've set it up every time.
But how do they know that that's not a mixed message? I could be doing a double bluff here. I mean, put it this way. During COVID-19, how much argument has there been around the clarity of message coming from the medical, the science, and our government? So much so that, I mean, I know Angela remembers this, but Matt Lucas did a parody of the Boris Johnson speech. And I must admit, I did check it out. But basically he said, so we're saying don't go to work, go to work. Don't take public transport, but go to work, don't go to work. If you can work from home, go to work. Don't go to work, go outside, don't go outside. And then we will, or we won't, do something or other. So
that's the thing, isn't it? I watched Gogglebox the other day where they had that again, and they were like, I've got no idea what it's. Oh no, this is when they said the 1 meter plus.
Yes.
And it was like, well, 1 minute plus means anything, because it can be anywhere from there. So as long as you're not under a meter. But all of these mixed messages, and there's a very clear one that has been given today. We like to have a look at some of the things that have gone through the week. I think actually 2 that I've learned about today, 2 very clear messages. One is the huge Black Lives Matter painted on 5th Avenue all along the street outside Trump Tower. He's not happy about that one. He's saying that New Yorkers are furious. No, I don't think they are, actually. I think it's just him. But talk about a clear message. What about Amber Heard?
Amber Heard?
Amber Heard, because Johnny Depp, they're in the courts at the moment this week, aren't they? But because Johnny Depp was 2 hours late for her 30th birthday party, she pooed in the bed and tried to pretend it was the Chihuahua.
No.
Surely, I think that was a very clear message, and he got the message, and that's when he divorced her.
I thought you were just talking about a typo then. I didn't realise that one.
Amber Turd, since she shat in the bed.
Well, I mean, we'll probably talk about written communication, mixed messages, but yesterday, we talk about Marks and Spencer's and we say, oh yeah, get some food, but it's not just any old food, it's Marks and Spencer's food. Well, yesterday, because we went over to Lakeside to do some pre-birthday shopping for my wife, and we went into Marks and Spencer's and they've got a one-way system. And there's this sign that somebody has produced on a piece of paper, A4 paper, laminated, and they've obviously spent a lot of time over this. And it just says the word entrance, spelt ENTERANCE. Right outside Marks and Spencer's. I said, that's not just any old sign. That's a Marks and Spencer's entrance. That is. It's brilliant. I mean, how many times have you been in a meeting and you've come out and there's been several people and you've come out thinking, oh no, that's not what I'm taking from the meeting. Oh no, that's not what she meant, or that's not what he meant. I mean, it's almost like communication is only as good as how it's received.
That is something that I use in mine. It's communication is what they think you meant.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
It's what they receive on the other end. And unfortunately, we always receive things differently. Something I use in my training is getting people to think about the word culture and writing down words that mean culture to them. And there's such a wide ranging. Some people come up with love and community. For me, it was Petri dish. It was agar jelly. That's culture to me because I was a biology.
Alexander Fleming and all that. Yeah, because I mean, and also if I didn't understand something, if I was, for example, when I was at school and I was doing my homework and I'd say to my dad, I'd ask him a question. If he didn't know the answer, he'd say to me, right, first thing tomorrow, go and see your teacher. Because he wanted me to go straight to the source. Now, I never did. I didn't want to feel embarrassed and go and speak to the teacher. So I'd go and speak to one of my mates in the playground the following morning, or go and find the class SWAT and and find out what the answer was. But ultimately, I mean, hence my grades at school, because I never actually spoke to the teachers. But bottom line, he was a Navy man and they needed to have absolute clarity, on board ship, particularly when they were in any of the services. But he wanted me to go straight to the source, because the more lines of communication you have in terms of getting your message out there, that's when we end up with good old Chinese whispers. And I'm sure you've got something to say on this.
Well, Chinese whispers, I did. I had a look on this because we always use this in our training, didn't we? The sense of how things can get moved along and how things get changed. And we always use the one that the message is coming back from the front. And I thought I'll look this up and see, was it actually real or not? And it was reported in 1914 at the beginning. There was a couple of different ones as it went through. There was another one in 1915. So the initial one that was first ever reported as a Chinese whisper that had gone wrong was, the enemy is advancing on the left flank, send reinforcements. But what they got at the other end was, the enemy is advancing with ham shanks, send 3 and 4 pence. So they were like, what the hell's going there? And the one that we always used was, we're going to advance, send reinforcements. But actually what they got was, we're going to a dance, send 3 and 4 pence. So
there you go.
All the way. But it wasn't called Chinese whispers. Did you know this? So the actual game, as a game, originally comes from the UK, but wasn't called Chinese whispers. It was called Russian gossip.
Oh, wow.
So for some reason, they switched it from Russian to Chinese. Now, when they looked into it, they didn't think that it was necessarily that we had an issue with the Chinese in any way, shape or form. They just thought that maybe actually Chinese...
We don't know, do we? We don't have any issues with the Chinese now.
But they thought that Chinese was a lot harder to understand to our ear in the UK than it was to Russia, but they call it telephone. It's got different names all over the world. But the fact that it wasn't Chinese whispers, it was Russian gossip to start with. I thought that was really interesting.
It's interesting that you mention all the sort of the different dialects, because communication, how we communicate. We've trained on this for years and years and years, and we talk about paralinguistics. It's not so much what you say, it's how you say something. And I found this woman. She's a professor of linguistics in America, and her name is Deborah Tannen. And she talked about the 5 main influences in your conversational style. And I'll tell you what the 5 are that Deborah mentions. This has an impact on your conversational style: your ethnic background, your regional background, your age, your class, and your gender. And I mean, I put my hands up when I was speaking to Angela about this earlier on. I said, I wouldn't dare mention any of those on a training course right now, because it would just open up, you know, an absolute can of worms, or several cans of worms.
Yeah, but maybe that's the issue, isn't it? That we're not talking about it. This was the stand up this morning with Claire, is that we're not talking, and therefore people are having issues. And the fact that when we do talk, the communication then gets missed because of those reasons. It is all about the listening and the appreciation that people don't come from the same background as you. Male, female makes a difference as well, obviously, in that sense, but certainly age as well, the language that older people use compared to younger people, and things get mismatched. What is it? So you've been learning about being woke today, have you?
Yeah, I've learned all about woke. I'm still not up on memes and emojis. But the thing is, when you talked about listening, I watched a couple of our playbacks, and I don't know if you're like me, but do you look at you on the playback, or do you look at me?
I look at both of us. I'm looking for a funny face actually to get a screenshot to use.
I do. I was looking at, how do I know, or how do people know that I'm listening to you? And when you're talking, particularly when you're going off on one, if I want to talk, I tend to fidget, but I also do this funny little movement with my mouth, and I've never noticed it before. And you're all going to be looking for it now. But whilst I was on this sort of self-reflection and a bit of self-deprecation, I started to realize that in my training sessions, and I've always done it, I've used a little bit of innuendo, appropriate innuendo, if there is such a thing. I've used irony and sarcasm. And the thing is, when I've looked these things up, and they're, you know, the meaning opposite, and it's derogatory, it's diminishing, it's insinuation, I'm thinking, oh my God, why do they let me loose on live webinars? A question I ask every day.
Do you know, because sarcasm actually was something, I was very, very sarcastic in my 20s, and I got told quite early on in my recruitment career to cut it out because people don't get it, and you're coming across as rude. But the actual definition is to use the irony to mock or to convey contempt. Yes. So actually, yeah, it is negative, and it comes from the Greek or Latin to tear flesh. So sarcasm means to tear flesh. So you are ripping someone off one.
Yeah. Well, it's a jibe, it's a jaunt. But you see, and I remember this is going back to my early years in the bank, that someone said to me, oh, you do know that sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. And the comeback to that was, yes, but the highest form of intelligence.
And that is the quote, isn't it, from Oscar Wilde? That it's the highest form of intelligence, but the lowest form of wit. I didn't know the first bit. You always say sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, but the initial bit is it's the highest form of intelligence, but the lowest form of wit. So yeah, I didn't realise that. So that's Oscar Wilde. And what was it Dr. Mark said? I never forget a face, but in your case, I'll make an exception.
Yeah. So the thing is, look, all of these things, whether it be sarcasm, irony, the way we talk, I mean, don't even get me onto banter, because again, that's another bloody minefield. But if we don't get our communications right, if people receive mixed messages, then it could actually cause a little bit of an argument. And Angela and I, we haven't really argued yet, but we're going to now. And what I've done is we've gone back and had a look at a Monty Python sketch, but we have edited it quite heavily because it could go on for quite some time. So if you remember the argument sketch, it involves John Cleese, we're not going to do the voices, played by moi, and Michael Palin, played by my counterpart, Ms. Angela Cripps. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the abridged version of the argument sketch.
Is this the right room for an argument?
Told you once.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
When?
Just now.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You didn't.
Look, I'm sorry. Is this the 5-minute argument, or are you here for the full half an hour?
It's just the 5 minutes.
Just the 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I did.
You most certainly didn't.
Now, let's get one thing quite clear. I most definitely told you.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You didn't. Look, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's just a contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Oh, see, you just contradicted me.
No, I didn't.
This is futile.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. Look, I came here for a good argument.
No, you came here for an argument.
But an argument isn't just a contradiction.
Well, it can be.
No, an argument is an intellectual process. Contradiction is just the systematic naysaying of anything that the other person says.
No, it isn't.
It is.
Not at all.
It is.
Thank you. That's it.
What?
That's it. Good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you.
I was just getting interested.
Sorry, 5 minutes is up.
That was never 5 minutes just now.
I'm afraid it was.
No, it wasn't.
I'm sorry, but I can't argue with you anymore.
What?
If you want to carry on arguing, you have to pay me for another 5 minutes.
But that was never 5 minutes. Oh, God. Come on. This is ridiculous.
I told you I'm not allowed to argue unless you pay.
Okay. All right. 5 more minutes then.
Oh.
There you are. Well?
Well, what?
Well, I just paid.
I told you I'm not allowed to argue unless you paid.
But I did just pay.
Oh, no, you didn't.
That was just 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not allowed to argue unless you paid.
I did. I've just paid.
I'm sorry, I don't want to argue about it.
I'm sorry. I've just paid.
Look, I'm sorry, but you haven't paid.
But if I didn't pay, then why are you arguing with me? Ha! I've got you.
No, you haven't.
I have. I've got you.
No, you haven't.
I have. If you're arguing, I must have paid.
But not necessarily, you see, because I could be arguing in my spare time. Ladies and gentlemen, if that wasn't car crash and that's Cripps Clarke, I don't know what was. We hope that the message you got from that was read the script a little bit better before you go on air and don't have so much of this.
We enjoyed ourselves. I could do Monty Python all day, I must admit.
So look, what is the one key message you want everyone to leave here with today, Angela?
How about stop contradicting each other, stop arguing and start listening?
Yeah, okay. I just need to go. I need to edit that bit out because my wife does watch this back. Well, my message is have a fantastic weekend and we'll see you on the various stand-ups and webinars and courses that the gym are running next week. But have a great weekend. Here's to some sunshine.
Yes, and happy birthday, George. I mean, you talked all about your barbecue and all the things you were doing for your birthday, but what are you doing for hers?
Well, we've had part of the family round today, socially distanced, of course, and then tomorrow we've got more of the family coming round, big barbecue, spiced lamb chops, chicken, curried chicken. Oh, it's going to be lovely. Oh, and probably a little bit more of this. Maybe some Aperols.
Oh, some Aperols for it's lovely, lovely. All right then, guys, have a lovely weekend. I'm going to enjoy my tequila and wait for the sun to come out. All right.
Okay, all. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.